Welcome everybody once again, the Friday Q&A lineup builder show right here on twitch.tv/Al_Smizzle. If you guys are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, be sure to subscribe, like the page, mash that like button so that we can get as much love for this video as we possibly can. For those of you who are live and watching this on Twitch, thank you for being here once again. Really appreciate the support that we've had in the channel and love doing these shows. I'm going to take an hour to answer all of our subscribers' questions. The chat is always, as always, locked down during NFL shows to subscribers only here on Twitch. So if you want to ask questions, jump in here to the 2 Comma Club, get in the VIP, we'll let you inside the velvet ropes, and we'll get right to answering questions as we go. Abdullah or Ellington? I prefer Abdullah because of the amount of targets that amount of touches he should get, even against a tougher defense. The price is very similar. I understand Ellington. I have them close, but I have Abdullah just above him. Jets D viable for cash, or two Jets viable for cash. Okay, sorry, I misread that, UNC. ASJ and Powell, or fade Powell after last week. I think the price has come way up on Powell, so now you have to consider it 6,200 as opposed to 46. Is he still going to get 25 touches? If you think so, then sure, pay for him at 62. I think ASJ is the chalk, though. BS Rekia, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Give him some love in the chat for that. Big time, gets that extra blue Smizbeard emote. Thank you very much. How would I describe the first 4 weeks from a DFS perspective? Easy, tough, chalky, etc. Well, week 1 was kind of back and forth. Week 3 was a bloodbath, right? Everything went backwards. Week 4 went exactly the way that we thought it would. Overall, it's been pretty profitable. So, like, it was down for everybody. Scoring was down 1, 2, and 3. Weeks 1, 2, and 3 for everybody. So it didn't really affect much. Last week, my own mistakes kept me from being profitable. Otherwise, I'd be hitting 4 for 4 in head-to-heads. I'm still, if you watch the recap shows, you know what my winning percentage has been in those weeks 1, 2, and 3. Charlie W. 2011, welcome to the VIP. Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Brandon Marshall, cash game viable. Probably not a route that I'm going to go this week. Aaron Rodgers in cash. I'm not against that. I mean, it's probably not the way that I'm going to go on DK, because cheap quarterbacks is kind of the nuts on DK, and I can stuff in as much volume at other positions as I can. And there's always streamable options from season-long leagues that you can find at like 4,500 to 5,500 that allows a lot more salary. On Garcon this week, I think he's fine. If you guys have not listened to the Edge podcast, that is out, the new one, the Week 5 game-by-game breakdown slate that me and Peter and Adam do. Also, my Best Buys column is out. And if you go to ESPN and hit the little magnifying glass in the top right-hand side, click Zeidenfeld, you'll see all the videos that got clipped out from the 060 and 0 podcast with me and Field Yates breaking down some of the plays from Best Buys. Do I think Team Jammerman is viable in cash, a.k.a. Lev, Zeke, and Gurley? Let's take a look. I mean, it's going to be tough to get all 3 of them. I think 2 of them is fine. So if you're saying you want to play boom, boom, and then in flex, where'd he go? In flex Gurley, that's going to leave you 3,900. So you're going to have to scrimp at defense. I'm not even looking what defense. You're going to have to scrimp at quarterback, pay like under 4,000 or under 5,000. It's going to leave you 4K for wide receivers and tight ends. Let's say you go chalk tight end, right? Let's say you go Austin Sfair and Jenkins. That leaves you 4,200. If Aldrich's a thing, and we don't know if Aldrich's a thing, that's going to open up some salary for you, give you 9K for the other 3 guys. So it's possible. I don't think it's the route that you want to go in cash. I think you can do it. I think 2 of them is probably a better option than all 3 in cash. In tournaments, I think going all 3 is perfect. It's a perfect play for tournaments. Hilton in cash, probably not for me. I understand what you're doing there, though, with old boy out, right? With Jack Doyle out, you think more targets going to be funneled to him. Is Jerron Brown cash game viable with Josh Brown limited and Nelson? I think so. At his price, especially on FD where he's like free, you just jam him in there against the worst pass defense possible. Brandon MQ, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you. Dez over Parker for cash. So we got Dez at 65, Parker at 66. I'm not against it. If I'm going to do that, then I'm probably not going to go Elliott and Dez in cash, right? I mean, Dez is cheap enough to be able to pay it off, especially with the volume that he got last week. But look at the difference in volume. He's either getting 2 or he's getting 13. This is obviously against Peterson. The Rams didn't really have that sort of thing that they could do to him. Neither does Green Bay. Denver did, and he still got 16 targets. if I did that, I'd probably go here and here, right? And avoid all the exposure. It would be kind of a leverage play for everybody that's on Zeke and hope that the touchdowns go to Dez instead. Oh, the link to Best Buy is in Discord. I see, yeah. Only the mods can throw links in here. I've put the link out for that on Facebook and on Twitter, and it's in Discord, so you can go to all those places. If you don't know about Discord right now, type !Discord in the chat. You guys can get in there. Great place to continue the discussion with members of this stream. There are sub-only channels for people who are subscribed to the Twitch channel. There's also channels that are open to everybody. So if you're just somebody who follows me on Twitter and you want to jump in the other channels on chat, there's NBA channel, NFL channels, there's FIFA channels, PUBG channels, general, whatever. Whatever there's a discussion that people want to have in Discord, I will open up a chat room for it as long as there's enough demand. Best 4K and under wide receiver, Lord Aldrich. If Marquise Goodwin is out, and we don't know yet, but he's had about 17,000 concussions in the last 20 days. Discord is hopping right now. Nice. Discord is great. Glad. Hey, the community that's building there is outstanding. I love that people are kind of hanging out there. Ravens D in cash. I'm going to have to think on that one. I mean, on the road against Oakland, yes, you're playing against DJ Manuel. Yes, the defensive lineman's going to be back. That's been a major problem for him, for them to be missing the last couple weeks. I get what you're doing there. It's probably a GPP play for me, not a cash game play. Austin's Fair and Jenkins are Clay for cash. Jenkins is 1,000 less, so I'd probably prefer him. Chargers D against Giants O-line or Dolphins if Mariota out. If Mariota's out, all bets are off on the Titans offense being able to do anything because Matt Castle's not really ready to do anything, and we don't know if Carr is going to play or not. Anyone I would put in my Best Buys that I didn't? No, I'm pretty happy with Best Buys right now. I usually am. And we used to do something called an X Factor on Sunday morning a couple of years ago. And I kind of talk about it in here on the Anti-Tinkercast every Sunday morning. So we go through that and we talk about things like that every Sunday morning. What my X Factor would be. Like if somebody's inactive and now this new guy is in, we'd have an X Factor column, something I'd put out like a little couple of blurb thing that would be an addendum to the Best Buys. But now that's just here in Twitch. So if you're here, you get it anyway. Eli and Cash, I'm probably not going to go there, but I get what you're doing, at least in terms of his volume. You know, I mean, quarterbacks, look, if you're telling me that you want a quarterback that's 5,500 and down, I'm probably not going to tell you that I hate it. Fan or not a fan of Romo thus far? I think Romo's awesome. Does it concern me that Palmer has been a QB1 in only 4 of 16 games when the when the Cardinals have gone east and played at 1 p.m.? I think that's more narrative than anything. Like, are you telling me that he's just really tired and he can't perform? Like, I'd want to, like, dig deeper. Who were the opponents that he didn't do well against and why? Like, was there, you know, did he have his full complement of wide receivers? Yes, it's a larger sample size at this point, but, like, I tend to just try to tune all that down. I think it leads to more false positives than actual reality. Delaney Walker hit value in cash. I think he does if Mariota's available. Josh McCown viable in either formats? Yes, I think so. For $4,500, you're getting for like the minimum salary. I'm okay with that. Gurley, Dez, or Zeke Landry to pair in cash with Bell. I like Zeke Landry a little bit better, but I'm not. But like it's like that close. I'm okay with Gurley and Dez. ASJ Engram together in cash. I don't think that's necessary. It might be necessary because DraftKings has been super tight, and it still is. This whole year, the pricing has been very, very restrictive. So if you get him, you know, if we lose Aldrich as a value play to be able to stuff players in there, you may need to go 2 tight ends in cash. More likely this week than any other week so far this year. Is playing Zeke and Bell in cash too thin? Does it make, I'm assuming this means, does it make wide receiver too thin for you? I don't think so. Carson Palmer, Jaron Brown stack or John Brown? Right now it's Jaron Brown. John Brown not healthy and still on somewhat of a pitch count. Wayne Gallman workload a concern? Not really. Not for the price. You know, I mean, if he was 3,900 and getting 25 touches, he'd be 100% owned. So, like, there is a little bit of risk, but the price is low enough. Green Bay exposure for cash? Yeah, get some. Brissett, Hoyer, or McCown in cash? I think it goes Hoyer, then McCown, then Brissett. McCown or Hoyer in cash? I like Hoyer better. Blunt at 4,100 or Gallman at 39. I think I like Blunt a little bit better based on the fact that we know what his workload is going to be, and there are more injuries that are going to just secure the amount of carries that he's going to get, but you know he's not going to be involved at all in the passing game. They are at home. I believe they still are favored in that game, and it's him, and then they signed Barner off the practice squad to come back in. Blunt's going to get his carries, man. Like that's the interesting thing here, is that Blunt's going to get his work. He's just not going to get any. He's not going to help you out here at all. He's not going to get you any catches at all. And people are going to say, well, he's catching touchdowns this year. No, he has 3 targets. He caught a touchdown on one of them, and it was a 1-yard play from the 1-yard line. This is where he's helping you out, is that he's going to get somewhere between 14 and 20 carries and all of the goal line work. So that's why you're rostering LeGarrette Blount if you're going to play him. Tip on qualifier tournament? I don't know if there are tips. You just got to finish first. Like it's a GPP strategy, but it's an all or nothing strategy, because like coming in there's nothing worse in daily fantasy than coming in second in a queue. It's like, hey, I got like $2,000, but I missed out on a $66,000 opportunity to win, $2.5 million. That sucks. What do you prefer in cash, Palmer or Hoyer? I think either are fine, depending on what site you're on. I prefer Hoyer on DK because of how cheap he is. Green Bay exposure for cash. Yes. Get some. Guys, I don't care which one you have. Just get some of this game in there, right? Get this game in your cash game allocation, right? If you can fit Elliott, get Elliott. If you can fit Nelson, get him. If you can't and you want to come down to Cobb, get Cobb. If you want to go tight end because you think that you don't like the tight end spots, maybe you're shaky on ASJ, get some Martellus Bennett in there. Just get some at least 1 or 2 guys from that game are somewhat mandatory in cash. If you have no exposure to Green Bay or Dallas in cash, you're kind of doing daily fantasy wrong in week 5. Better price play, Melvin Gordon or Jai in DK cash? Well, if their backup running back is out, I prefer Gordon, and it looks like he is, even though I like their young kid that they have, the rookie, but I think Gordon's volume is somewhat locked in. Gallman cash game viable? I think he's cash game viable at this point. I think if we lose Aldrich, I think he becomes more palatable than he is right now in cash, because losing him would hurt a lot. Is it me or is my audio seem low? Tell me, is my audio low, yes or no? Because if it is, I can fix that. So chat, let me know. Who to pair with? Like, I had to move my mic because it was falling when it was over here. So I moved the mic over to here, and it's a little bit further away from my face. But I can get it closer if that's what you guys need. If that makes it better. Yes, semi, good to me, whatever. Okay, so there. The mic's a little bit closer now. It's on screen at this point. Matt Barrows covers the 49ers for the Sacramento Bee. Marquise Goodwin concussion will have a contact test today and will fly with the 49ers to Indy. If there are no setbacks, he'll play. Well, that might change everything. So we got to wait for that news. But at least we have 2 days. So this is the beautiful thing about football, is that it's very leisurely to make lineups, right? It's not NBA where that happened like 10 minutes before lock, and now I don't know what to do. I have to change everything. Like, you have 48 hours to figure everything out. Exactly. Wait and we'll find out. You will know if he's active or inactive. It's not going to be a problem. Like, they play one of the early games, right? They play in Indy at 1 p.m. Pacific or 1 p.m. Eastern time. You're going to know before it locks whether or not Aldrich is going to be the guy or if not. All right. Somebody else said my audio is low. There, I'll boost my mic a little bit in OBS. There. Tinkercast will be a major key this week. Hey, I hope that everybody shows up. I would love that. Garcon going to eat anyway? Yeah, of course he is. And I think that he makes a good pivot play, to be honest, because everybody was on Aldrich, and then people aren't going to be on Goodwin because, well, he's one play away from being out, right? So that's going to open this up a lot. Like, I think he's going to be I kind of feel like Garcon might be under-owned this week because of all the guys. Like, there's a lot of wide receivers in that 6K range, right? Like, Larry Fitzgerald against Philly. Even though he plays from the slot, and we want to attack Philly on the outside. Cobb is great. Parker's great. Dez Bryant's great. Crabtree's back from injury, but whatever. T.Y. Hilton, a lot of buzz on him this week. Benjamin, he's out. Okay, so he's the non-existent. Landry, fine. Right? Jeffrey out because we're not going to pick on Peterson. Cooper, like there's a lot of guys in that like 6,000 to 7,000 range that people are going to be high on. I think Arcon goes under owned this week just because their percentages are going to cannibalize one another as you go through everything. For every single GPP, for every single entry GPP, is the play high-priced wide receivers since cash is high-priced running backs? Not necessarily. I do think it's a very good strategy for GPPs to find out, and I do this in 3max, is to find out where everybody's going with their cash game lineup and then build opposite. So if you're saying everybody's spending up on running back this week, so you're either going to spend up on only one running back or you're going to spend, instead of, let's say, if we expect the majority of cash game lineups, right? Let me switch to the DK page. Oh my God. Lovely. Now it's not working. Stream Deck is not doing what I want it to, so I got to use this. Okay. So if everybody in cash is doing this and this, right? If that's the majority of people are doing that, then in tournaments, maybe this and that. I don't know. Like just something different, right? So instead of spending $18K or 17K, 18K on your first two running backs, you're spending 12, and now you've got money to spend up where other people don't. That's an easy way to build a solid lineup that is going to be contrarian. HTX Cheddar, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate you. Holographic Tupac 86. You're crazy. Am I crazy to be on Duke Johnson with Britt out, lining up a slot receiver, already seeing 10 targets at running back? No, I like Duke Johnson this week. I think he's fine. Like him as a tournament play. You're considering, I've lost something. If Aldrich is out, do you go to McCown and cash so you can stack with ASJ? No, probably not. I mean, Aldrich wasn't why I want to stack, or why I want to use Hoyer. I want to use Hoyer because Indy's D is bad. It's not going to matter who's out there. I just think Aldrich is a good wide receiver who is going to get a ton of snaps. And now we don't know where the snaps are going to go, so I might not want to stack him. But I still think Hoyer's cash game viable. Playing Indy tight end is a punt in cash now that Doyle is out to make salary room. Who? Swope? Would he be the guy that you're targeting there? I hate that Stream Deck isn't working. This makes my life so difficult here. I don't know where my different things are. Gurley or Zeke in cash? I prefer Zeke. Cobb greater than Jordy in cash. Jordy seems to have more touchdown equity, but Dallas struggles in the slot. Dallas definitely struggles in the slot. You're getting a discount to go down to Cobb. I'm fine with that if you just want one of the 6K wide receivers. Is Allison a good cash game play if Adams is out? I don't think he's terrible. I don't know if he's a cash game play, but we saw what he did in that last time, that last game that he played, although the majority of his points came in overtime. He's 4,400, right? So Geronimo Allison at 4,400 is way different than Geronimo Allison at 3,000. At 4,400, I'm less interested. Oh, God, I hate you, Stream Deck, that you don't work right now. That's a lot different. That's a lot different risk to take at 4,400 than it was at 3K that week. And he wasn't 3,750. That's a joke. He was like 3,000 or 3,100. Devontae Parker cash game viable? Yes. Thoughts on J.J. Nelson? I think he's still injured, and I don't know what to do with him yet. If he was 100% healthy, then fine. He's got a hamstring and a tooth issue. He was limited at Wednesday's practice. So monitor today's practice and Friday's practice to know for sure what you think. The Gazelle at 5,300 in cash, probably not a direction that I'm going this week. Is Tate a cash game play? I think he's too up and down to be a cash game play. I think there are better options at that price point for sure. You're in a 20-man with pretty sharp people, Gurley or Jordy. I mean, is it a 50-50 or is it are you trying to be contrarian? Like, I think Gurley has as much upside as Jordy, just based on how much volume he's getting, 25 to 30 touches a week. Usually I would side with the wide receiver if you're just looking for upside. Thoughts on Moncrief with no Doyle now? I like Moncrief, but I usually like Moncrief when Luck is in there. If Luck isn't the quarterback, Moncrief really sees decreased. Swope is out too. Look at B. Williams. Oh, there you go. Any Cole Beasley left? I was on Cole Beasley for a few weeks last year, especially early in the year. I'm not going to be on him this week probably, so if he goes off. Stack someone with Hoyer or go naked Hoyer if Goodwin plays. I would probably be prone to go naked Hoyer because I don't feel the need to stack him with Garcon in GPP or in cash games. I will do that in GPPs though. Christ Butler, all caps. Roethlisberger, all caps in lowercase letters. GPP, all caps. Probably not for me. Jacksonville has been really good against the pass and really bad against the run. I'm going to target the running game for Pittsburgh and not their passing game this week, even though Roethlisberger is at home. They have two just death cornerbacks, does Jacksonville. So they're a team that I'm not going to target with wide receivers this year. Is there enough left in the Gore tank for GPP? I've been hearing him a lot this week, and his price seems fine, to go for. So I'm not against it. I'll probably have a sprinkle, but I'm not going to have all that much. I wonder what people think his tournament ownership is going to be, chat. What do you think that Frank Gore is going to be owned in GPPs this week? Because they're playing the Browns at home. So what do you think at 4,400 Frank Gore's ownership is going to be? And you got 25 touches he's playing Indy, playing San Francisco, not Cleveland. Against Cleveland, he had 25 carries and mustered 2.3 yards per carry. So he's just not efficient, right? Like, does he really have like a 25-point game in him? Like, I don't see a 25-point game coming out of Frank Gore. I really don't. And if he does, God bless him, but I don't know if I see that. So I kind of feel like at 15, 20%, I don't want any part of him. If he's like 2-3%, sure. But I don't think that 15% of the time, if they played this game 100 times, at 15 of those games, he'd have 25 fantasy points. So I'm not in. Ravens defense for cash against Oakland. I don't think they're the best defense for cash, but I understand that people want to attack EJ Manuel. Probably not the way that I want to go. Doesn't Blunt equal Gore with less ownership? Exactly. And more touchdown equity. For GPP, do I look for 3 times, 4 times, 5 times value? Somebody who can get 2 touchdowns. I don't concern myself with value for GPP. I concern myself with trying to get the guys that can get me to 225 to 250 points on DraftKings. Cash game is a lot easier because you're looking for value at a salary. You need ceiling games from people in tournaments. So I want players that have the ability to score 25 fantasy points. And whether that's coming at 9,000 or whether that's coming at 4,000, they have to have that to be on my short list for that week. So it's tournaments are less about value in football. Basketball is a different story. Thoughts on Green Bay backfield? Don't have any yet because Montgomery may play and cannibalize the guys that are behind him. If he doesn't play, we're going to have to wait for inactives and who is the listed starter. So I don't have an opinion yet, and I probably won't until Sunday. It looks like it's going to be Aaron Jones, but who knows? So I don't want to say it's this guy and then it's not that guy. We'll have more information Sunday. Daily Fantasy is a game of partial information. Right now, we only have half the story. So let's wait until we find out if Montgomery's going to play or not. Let's wait until we find out who the other ones are active and inactive, and let's find out who the starter is and then roll with that one. Funchess and cash. You're going to have bunches of Funchess this week? 5,600. Everything is going to be on its ear in cash if Aldrick Robinson doesn't play. Not doesn't play. If Marquise Goodwin does play. That's going to just change everything up. Would I be comfortable with Cobb, Landry, and Aldrick as my wide receivers, given you have Belliot in there? Yeah, I'm fine with that. So, essentially, it's you're going to pick 2 6K wide receivers, probably, and 1 Aldrick Robinson, and play 2 of the high-priced running backs and a cheap quarterback. That seems to be the cash game optimal build this week. So it's going to come down to, just like it did last week, to which one of those 6K wide receivers does well and which ones flop. Des Bryant or AJ Green in tournaments, FanDuel. I haven't thought of them versus one another. I think that it's going to be Dez. I think that's the better play there. Who to pivot to if you like your lineup with Aldrick if Goodwin plays? You have to redo things. You're going to have to make like a 2v2 or a 3v3, and I would definitely suggest you come up with an if-then statement so that you're ready to go. And on DraftKings, it's easy. You could do that in your My Lineups page and just create the lineup, the pivot lineup. Create your Aldrick Robinson lineup, right? If that's your head-to-head games, it's got your most ones. The most contests is always going to be at the top of the lineups page. And then create a lineup, and don't enter in anything. That's your pivot lineup, your cash game lineup, if Aldrick Robinson is not a viable play, right? So then you could take that lineup and export it to all your head-to-heads. And you don't have to like come up with something on the fly. Spend the time now thinking of your if-then. Put that, in there. Maybe you have to pay $1,500 more to get up to a 4K guy. Maybe you just go with Gallman instead. Maybe you pay up to a 45 to 4,700 guy instead of having Aldrick at wide receiver, and then rework things from there, right? And it'll be a 2v2 or a 3v3, but have it ready in your My Lineups page, and you can just export. Can't get yourself to come off of a Green Bay Dallas stack. I don't hate that. Gallman and Giants D and GPPs. I think that's an interesting play. A little correlation between the running back, thinking that if they're winning and the defense does well, then the running back's going to get more love in the second half. I'm fine with that. Bennett or Safarian Jenkins for cash. I'm on Safarian Jenkins, but I know that some people are on Bennett. Okay with playing ASJ and Engram in cash to fit Zeke and Bell. Yeah, if that's what you got to do. Abdullah and Jaron Brown in cash. Yeah, I'm fine with that. What's the cheapest I would go for running back in cash games? Probably that mid 4,000 level. Like probably the guys in here. Let me move this down so you can see it over my big head. Probably the guys in this range. Like Abdullah or Ellington, or if you feel froggy, Frank Gore or LeGarrette Blount or somebody. Like guys in this range would probably be the lowest that I'm going to go for cash games. Is Ellington the play in Arizona for GPPs? Don't know yet. We're going to have to find out what goes on with their actives and actives. Who's going to play, who's not, how much JJ Nelson practices, how healthy he is this week, how many snaps do they think that John Brown's going to play, and can we figure that out? Because if not, Jerron Brown's going to play a lot of snaps, run a lot of routes, and get a lot of targets. And I want the guy who's going to run the most routes, get the most targets for the discount price against that Philly, on the outside against Philly. Appreciate you guys being here. Just to reset, this is the Friday question and answer for week 5, answering all the subscriber questions that they have for their lineup building needs for DraftKings this weekend for week 5 of NFL. We're going through cash game lineups. You can ask me GPP questions. You can ask me strategy questions. You can ask me dad life questions. You can ask me FIFA questions. I don't care. Ask me whatever you want, but the chat is always going to be locked down to subscribers only. So if you want to jump in there, you can do it absolutely free. Click that subscribe button up above. And if you have not yet linked your Amazon Prime account, if you have an Amazon Prime, which I know every one of you does, you then have the ability, as I just linked in chat, to link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch. It gives you a Twitch Prime account, which allows ad-free viewing all over Twitch and gives you a free sub token that you can use to get into the 2 Comma Club right here on this Twitch channel. So you can sub absolutely free, and I will answer your questions on Mondays during the recap stream, on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern for this question and answer every single week, and on Sunday, the final 30 to 45 minutes before lock, the Anti-Tinkercast. That's the only way to get in. If you ask me questions on Twitter, I'm not going to answer them. Okay, that's just the way it goes. I have to protect the subs that I have on this channel. You guys have been kind enough to subscribe and be here for these shows, so I do what I can to, protect the subscribers that I have. So thank you for being a part of it. McCown or Hoyer for cash? I prefer Hoyer, but I understand McCown. New FIFA patch is horrendous. It takes some getting used to. The goalies are like superhuman now. It's annoying. And the guys shoot it over the net randomly. Kind of pisses you off every now and again. Like they tap-ins from like 6 yards. They just kick over the net. Boxers briefs or boxer briefs? Boxer briefs. Your wide receivers are Parker, Cobb, Brown, paid up on Q. Fine with, yeah, sure. What is my game day setup? One screen with red zone, laptop going as well. Usually I sit in my office. So like I've got red zone on the TV, but I'm going to have built a new system. So I'm going to get a 5 TV system. So I'll have red zone on the main TV in the middle, and I'll have 4 games, 2 TVs on each side. Doug K517. Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Is 517, is that your birthday? Like May 17th? My birthday's May 16th. So we're like birthday buddies. What tools do I like for lineup building? Can't share that at this point. I do use a lineup builder, but I'm not going to, I don't want to give out free plugs and like send a bunch of people to one place. There's plenty of them. Find the one that you are most comfortable with, the one that you understand how to build lineups with. And a lineup builder is only as good as the projections that go into it. So don't think, I'm going to click, mash the submit button, and that's going to spit out 150 lineups, and I'm just going to be printing money. It doesn't work like that. You got to work hard on your projections, your allocations, and your, and your groups and your everything else. Do I worry about QB or DST ownership in GPPs? No, not really. Quarterbacks, nobody's ever really over 15 or 20%, and defenses really aren't either. I like to leverage the defenses. I pick a very small group of defenses, and I massively overown them. The top 2 defenses that I like on the week, I'll typically have between 25 and 50% of each of them exposure to, and I'll pick 2 or 3 others that'll have like 5 to 15%. So I want to, like, if my defense goes off and the field has like 10%, I want 40, right? Like I want all of my lineups to really benefit from that. How do you play Monday, Thursday night GPPs in cash? I don't typically. I kind of stay away from those. I don't like it. It's too much overlap. There's one way to go. There used to be a lot more action. There just doesn't seem to be any more. Top 5 defenses this week. Go read Best Buys. Thoughts on Hyde? He's getting a lot of volume, which I really, really, really like all the time. Like that's what I want to go after, and that's what I want to attack whenever I can, right? Sorry, guys. I don't have my Stream Deck stopped working midstream, so I have to do this by clicking OBS. Like, this is amazing, right? 15 carries, 6 targets. 25 carries, 4 targets. 16 carries, 6 targets. He's getting 20 looks a game, 20 to 30 looks a game for 7K. He's questionable because he always gets hurt. He was limited at Wednesday's practice. Definitely take a look at Thursday's practice report that may or may not be out right now, which is out, and the Friday practice report, which may or may not be out right now, and we'll know what he looks like before the game, right? We'll have all the Sunday morning reporting. If it's, if things are structural, I've said this before, when things are structural, I don't mess with the guy. But if it's like soreness, then I just ignore it. Like soreness doesn't matter. They have some wonderful drugs in the NFL that they give these guys before the game, and they don't feel any pain when they're playing. And if that's the case, then we're fading incorrectly. Now, if it's structural damage, then that's when I start to avoid. Who's team jam him in this week? I said it in Best Buys. I said it on 06010. I said it on the Edge. It's right there. Like that's team jam him in, right? Just go for those 2 dudes. Super high volume for both of them, right? Bell's getting like 30 touches a game, and just ignore this game. Ignore it, right? 21, 22, 24, 5 targets, 4 targets, 5 targets, 1, 2, 3 touchdowns. Ignore Denver. Just throw games out that teams play against Denver. Just get rid of them. Melvin Gordon is a GPP flyer. I'm on with that. I like that. Who has the best drugs? Which team? Anybody that has the NFL shield on their uniform. Gordon and cash, probably not going to do that. Do I have a list of future tinkers that I'll watch closely this weekend? The one that we have to watch is Marquise Goodwin and whether or not he is going to be able to get through concussion protocol. That's the one major one. That's going to change the landscape of everything. If Goodwin doesn't play, Aldrick Robinson all day, every day on Sunday. If he doesn't play, if Goodwin does play, then that makes Aldrick Robinson from an exclamation point into a major question mark. He might still get like 8 targets. He might only play 20% of snaps. You know, it turns a known into a massive unknown. So that's the problem there. Fade Fitz and go Palmer, Brown, stack GPP. Yeah, I like that. I want the deep threat. If Aldrick can't play, can we not play Belliot? You can. It's just harder. But you can still get there. Parker and Cobb and Cash, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. You're going to get a lot of volume. You're going to get end zone looks, at least out of Parker. You have touchdown possibilities for Cobb, even though he's not a big red zone sort of guy. Not a big target around the red zone. Ajayi taken off the injury report. Okay, that's solid. I like that. Pitt defense a must play. Miami a maybe. Pittsburgh defense is a must play? I mean, they're in play against Jacksonville. I don't know that they're a must play, especially at 3,900. Wife pregnant with your first child. Congratulations. Optimal strategy to be prepared for her random food cravings. Be ready to get fat. That's all there is. I mean, there's some theory to whether or not you can tell if it's a boy or a girl if she's craving meat or sweets. If she's craving sweets, it's a girl because they tend to want more calcium. You know, if the body craves more calcium because the baby needs more calcium. Female babies need more calcium. Little boy babies just sap the mother of iron, so they need iron. They crave meat. They want red meat. You know, my wife wanted like hamburgers and chili and all the time. So like I got huge during my wife's first pregnancy. How high will ASJ be owned? Like in cash, high. In the Millie Maker, not so high. Like cash, maybe like 35 to 40%. I'm guessing. In GPP, maybe like 15. Bills D is cheap. They are. I agree. And they've been very consistent. Columbus Day or Native American Day. Google, when you have some time, Google Columbus Day, the oatmeal. Look at that and like read about like what Columbus, like who he actually is versus how we've glorified him in our, you know, in schools in America. And you'll might have a different take on like who Christopher Columbus actually is. Your wife is 7 months pregnant and she's miserable. Good luck, buddy. Yeah, that can be. Some women really like being pregnant. Some don't. Hoyer and Hyde together in cash. Not in cash, but in tournament, yes. Chargers or Miami for cheap D? I don't know. Let's look. And the Chargers have been horrendous. Where's Miami? Where are the Dolphins? If Castle's in, I prefer Miami's defense. Columbus was a jerk. Naked Brissett or stack with Hilton. I think if you're going to play Brissett, you want to stack him with Hilton. Arizona D, you don't hate for 2,300. I don't either. You know, super cheap. Wentz can still make mistakes. You know he's going to throw it a ton. So, like, that's really the thing. They're trying to run the ball with Blunt, but you know that Wentz is going to drop back a lot. You know, like with the amount of throws that he has a week, right? You know, you're getting 31, 46, 30. You're getting a lot of dropbacks out of this dude, right? And you have really good cornerbacks. Yes, they're on the road. You have sack opportunities. You have interception opportunities. They've lost their two best pass-catching backs, which means that they may have to utilize the wide receivers and tight ends a little bit more, which leads to tougher throws. If I had to choose one between Cutler, Brissett, or McCown this weekend, who would I choose? Probably McCown. But for cash. But like Brissett, I get the upside for tournaments. Is Gallman cash viable now that Perkins is out? I think he's in the discussion. I think you have to talk about him in terms of cash. I'd prefer Abdullah for like 800 more. But if Aldrick is out, it presents a problem where he becomes even more palatable. Which cheap GPP dart, assuming no Aldrick, do you have between Stills, Robbie Anderson, and Moncrief? Probably Stills. Gurley and Belliot is a possibility with Aldrick, but not without. Is it worth jamming them in if Aldrick is in? I'm not against that. Anytime you can get like 90 to 100 touches out of your 3 running backs, you kind of got to do it. Have I talked about Watson yet? Just tuned in. No, I haven't. I like Ben Watson. And you get to if he's healthy, and he practiced on Friday, so that's fine. If he's healthy, he's like he's not bad for tournaments. He's not the cash game guy that I want, but for tournaments, I'm not against him. Why no love for Fournette? He's on the road. He's in a funky price point, right? Like right in here where he kind of doesn't fit. I think he's fine in tournaments. I do. I prefer home road running backs who get 20 to 25 touches on favored teams. That means here, that means here, and that means here. This is a road game. So for tournaments, I like Fournette. Cash, I'm not on Fournette this week. Assuming Cam will have distractions this week. I mean, to play at that level, you have to be able to compartmentalize. I don't think that whatever went on this week is going to bother Cam on Sunday once the kickoff goes live. You know? Think about it. Like if you play golf or if you play like basketball with your buddies or softball, when you're out there playing, are you thinking about your problems at work? Are you thinking about some argument you had with your girlfriend or your wife? No, you're not. In that moment, you've compartmentalized that and you're just in the game. So like he's going to be in the game and he's not going to be thinking about whatever went down this week. That's not going to happen. But if he has a bad game, people are going to say, see, he was distracted. And if he has a good game, wow, he made that apology and he really bounced back and that shows what type of a player he is. So like the stories are going to write themselves on either side no matter what he does. Majeski 527, another May birthday, probably subscribed with his Twitch Prime. Thank you very much and welcome to the VIP. Thoughts on Travis Benjamin? I think he'll be 1% owned. Like max. You know, I don't think he's going to be in there at all. You feel gross at flex this week. Yeah, it's tight, man. Pricing is super tight. It's not easy to make lineups. Trubisky GOAT. Tyler Kroft. They have guys out once again, right? But this is a game that's got a really low total. You know? Kroft, 4 targets 2 weeks ago against Green Bay, 7 targets last week against Cleveland, but Cleveland is the flowchart team, right? So people are going to try and like chase this and click it because he's coming off of this. And they're going to expect this every week. Well, look, he's going to have 7 targets and 2 touchdowns. When reality is that this is probably closer to his projection right in here. That's probably more likely than that. You know? So yes, Eifert's still out. Yes, he's going to play the majority of the snaps. Yes, he's going to get the majority of the targets at tight end. Yes, he has a terrible little fluff of beard here. That's got to go. But I think he's going to have too much ownership based on last week in a game that's going to be low scoring. How many different cash game lineups do I play? One cash game lineup for me. I want to make the right decisions. I think that there are right decisions to be made. Sometimes I've hedged if the decisions aren't there. But most weeks, most nights of NBA, most nights of MLB, most weekends of NFL, and most slates, there's one lineup that just makes more sense than any of the others. So I run that one lineup out there, and it's proven for me to be profitable over the last 5-6 years to play that way. Bills, D, and cash. I'm not against that. 2 tight end stack this week with New York guys. What? You want to play like 2 New York guys? I'm not doing that. Oh, okay. Whoa. I see what you're saying. My bad. I was like, wait a minute. I see what you're doing there. You're going to go here, and then you're going to go Engram with the other one. Yeah, I'm not against it. But again, I believe that the people that tune into the Edge and the people that come here to study and do stuff and go over this stuff every single Friday and every Sunday before lock, I think are not the common player, right? So it kind of, when I see stuff like, and I think that we're seeing it here, I think we're seeing some whack-a-mole chasing this 11 targets from last week. This is more likely what his line is going to look like, right? 5 to 7 targets, not 11. If you're okay with 7 targets, then I'm fine with Evan Engram there, right? He's being lined up as a wide receiver. He's going to get a lot of snaps. He's getting love in that offense. I'm not against it, especially if Aldrich is out. Rodgers plus 2 receivers will take down the Millie this week. It might. You better have some exposure to that game. Any interest in Randall Cobb for cash games? Yes. I think he is cash game viable this week. Aaron Rodgers for cash on FD? Yes, I think that's fine. Devontae Parker ownership, make him worth fading? No. There's nobody... I mean, there's nobody's ownership that's been overblown because DraftKings has been really tight. You know? So, like, have you seen somebody that's been, like, 60% owned with a questionable chance of getting there? No. Like, the highest percentage I've seen in tournaments has been, like, 40, and it was Ertz, week 1. Lions D for cash, I'm okay with that. Whenever I see LAC, I think Clippers. Still. You know? I honestly just see Clippers. But you're going up against the Giants here. You're trying to take advantage of the Giants' terrible defense against opposing tight ends. Hunter Henry just not getting the love. He's not running as many routes as is Antonio Gates, and Antonio Gates is $500 cheaper. He's $3,300. Running 90-plus routes versus 50 routes for Henry. Getting 3 red zone targets to Henry's 2 red zone targets. I prefer him. No one seems to be reading your best buys. I mean, I put everything out there, guys. Yeah. Everything is out there. Tom with the $10 donation.
Try to make matching cash game lineups on FD and DK if price allows.
Do I? So if you didn't hear that, do I make matching cash game lineups across sites? My core is going to be my core because no matter what site you play on, unless there's a pricing problem, right? Like Aldrich is basically minimum salary on both sites, but like Jaron Brown is minimum salary on one, but priced up on DK. So Jaron Brown is a different play over on FD and a simple pivot if you've got Aldrich Robinson in your cash game lineups from him to Jaron Brown and not have to change the rest of your lineup. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap between my DK and my FD lineup. Unless it's a pricing thing. FD way more flexible. You know? Like, you can run through FD and just plug all the guys in that you want. It's that easy. Every week. Like, FD, if you don't get a price, if you don't get a score that wins you head-to-head games, it's 100% on you. It's because you just didn't pick the right players. Because it's basically pick 'em. You can have whoever you want. Just pick the right guys. Justin Rao, you're basically an insider for best buys in the wide receiver cornerback matchup for Mike Clay. Thank you for the love. Really appreciate that. If I may say so myself, I think those are 2 great columns. Mike does a great job with the wide receiver cornerback stuff. Best buys has been a thing. This is our 3rd season writing the best buys column, and I think that it's performed very well. And I try to do the best that I can to recap it every Monday right here on this stream. Am I a fan of tighter pricing or looser like FD? I like, okay, I don't like it as tight as DK is right now. I think it's too tight. I think it funnels people onto specific plays. And I think it takes away the edge. You know, the edge is in decision making. So if you're taking decisions away from people, then it makes it harder for somebody who's good to actually have a skill gap. If you make it too loose, it just becomes pick 'em. I think there's a happy medium. I would love to see DK loosen it up by like 5 to 10%. Like, that's it. That's all it would take. Like, not even 10%. Literally like 5%. If it was 5% looser, you could have... It wouldn't be like, well, this is the play, and this is the play, and this is the play, and this is the, like, and everything would set itself up. And that's why we have massive overlap. If you watch the Monday recap, when I look at the high stakes 50-50 games that are out there, and you're like, wow, there's like 6 guys in every lineup that are 40 to 75% owned. Of course there are, because those are the only plays you can make. Nothing else makes sense. Why are you stressing out if Marquise Goodwin plays? Because of how wide open Aldrich Robinson makes lineup building on DK this week. FD, if you have Aldrich Robinson in there, you can just pivot to Jaron Brown and your lineup stays the same. No problem. There's no other $3,000 wide receiver that you could just pivot to. So you have to change your whole cash game lineup on one side, and the other side, it makes no difference. Ricardo Lewis for $3,700. I have no idea. I have not even thought about him. He should get more snaps, right? But like this seems like the same problem. Wait, did it say 3,900 and then say 3,700? Like, it's 37 here. I thought I just saw 39. No, it's 37. Okay. I'm not crazy. So if you're putting Lewis into your lineup, this seems like the same sort of problem that we had a couple weeks ago with Rashard Higgins, where we're kind of chasing snaps. We're chasing a guy who's kind of a practice squad level player. And we're doing it against a team that does not suck at cornerback. Right? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Cobb or Parker and DK Cash. I'm honestly fine with either. It depends on your taste. If you want the guy going later with the higher total, and you want somebody who Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball to, then pick Cobb. If you can handle the variance of having Jay Cutler, I think Parker's a better play. I think Parker is the better play, but he does have Jay Cutler throwing the ball. The other side of the coin, Aaron Rodgers has a lot of targets that he can throw the ball to and doesn't zone in on one of them. So Cobb could have 2 touchdowns or he could have like 4 catches for 30 yards. Like, I think there's more variance in Cobb than there is with Parker. I think Parker's variance is tied to Cutler, but he should still get his targets. He's getting consistent amount of targets every week, regardless of how good or bad Cutler plays. Gurley ownership down due to Seattle next to the name. Yes, definitely. And Seattle has not been good against the run. And the Rams have done exceptionally well against Seattle, winning their last 3 games against them and 4 of their last 5. Is AJ Green going to be shadowed by White? I don't know. Honestly, I would say read Mike's column. I haven't looked at AJ Green's matchup chart to see how much he's going to see of what cornerback. I usually don't even care when it comes to AJ Green. He's kind of matchup proof. Like, unless it's like Patrick Peterson, I'm not doing anything. By the way, if I didn't say thank you to Tom for the $10 donation, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Ajayi, Melvin Gordon, and Cash. I'd probably lean to Gordon. Surprised to hear how much you like Zeke more than Gurley with Gurley's insane volume, with run funnel. I mean, sure. I don't disagree with you that Gurley's had a ton of volume, right? Gurley's been great. Taking nothing away from Gurley, right? Great volume. Great pass game volume. But again, ignore this game. This game does not exist. Wipe this game out. Don't look at his average fantasy points per game because that includes this BS game. Then recalculate everything with just these 3 games against mere mortal defenses. And that's who Zeke Elliott is. At home, favored against a team that's not good at stopping the run. So, like, I think Zeke's the better option. He may not end up with more points than Gurley, but I think that his raw projection should be higher going into the week. So therefore, I think he's the better play. Dalton Green GPP stack crazy. It's never crazy to stack to utilize AJ Green. Dalton, like, I don't know if you need Dalton. Like, what % chance do you think Dalton has 30 fantasy points? Right? So, like, I like AJ Green because, like, I think AJ Green has a greater chance at getting 2 touchdowns or 100 yards and 8 catches and a touchdown than Dalton has of throwing 3 touchdowns and 330 yards, if that makes sense. And one can happen without the other. Like, Dalton can have a 20-point game and AJ Green can have a 35-point game very easily. And you could get that out of a different quarterback. So I don't think you need to stack him. I think you could just play AJ Green and stack a different quarterback. Do I prefer Zeke over Bell? No, Bell's number 1. Yeah. Is Bell, Gurley, Burley? It could be. The Burley backfield. Why was Julio a lock versus Green Bay, but Dez isn't, so to speak? I don't know. I like Dez. I just like to vary my cash game lineups between different teams. I don't want too much exposure to one team. So if you're loading up on Elliott, okay, if you're playing Bell, you probably don't want Brown all the time at the price that you're going to have to get him at. I understand what Dez, considering his price at $6,500. But with Dez, you also have to consider that he's not going to get 13 and 16 targets every week, right? So, like, he could have an 8-target game here. And even with 13 and 16 targets, his point per target is not high, right? His point per target is not high at all. And that concerns me. Wacko for Flacco, not at all. If you don't play Dez in cash, quit DFS. I think he's fine. I don't think you have to play him in cash. I suppose I should quit DFS then. For tournaments on FD, Brown and Dez Bryant or Cobb and Parker. I prefer Brown and Dez Bryant to try and leverage off of the Zeke ownership. Who are the top 1% owned picks? I don't understand the question. Watson in cash thoughts? I don't think that you need him in cash. I think if you're paying that price, I think there's 2 or 3 other tight ends that are better than Watson at that price point. I think he's fine for tournaments, though. Doesn't Dez line up like AJ Green from week 3? Everyone's concerned with Green going into the week. Wait, you think people were concerned with AJ Green? AJ Green, again, look at the difference. AJ Green does this. You know, you don't see that a lot from Dez, even with 13 targets. You know, like I said, I'm fine with Dez. It sounds to me from what I'm reading in the chat that people are reading that I'm against Dez this week. And I'm not against Dez this week. He's cash game viable. He's somebody you need to consider. But, like, is he somebody that, like, do my lineup start with him? No. My lineups start here. You know, that's where my lineups start. Like, if you're going to go Dez in cash, I think you need to do this. You know, can you do this and Dez? Sure. I think it's less optimal. If you're going to play Dez in cash, I think it's less optimal to go Zeke and probably go there so you can leverage off of. You're saying, okay, I think Dez is going to get the touchdowns. Therefore, you want to leverage off of everybody that's going to have the high ownership on Zeke and leverage them with your Dez play and go to some other running back. That's what I'm saying. That's the play. You heard Zeke has a rib issue. I have not heard that. Nursing a chest injury. He's going to be fine moving forward. Yeah, I don't worry about soreness in the NFL. They're all sore all the time. Run the Foot Market now auto hosting. Thank you very much for the host, Nick. Appreciate that. I think everybody is focusing on axes and overlooking Beasley. On X's? Are you saying like X's? So we're going like BVP, like we're saying Beasley against Green Bay is the play. I don't know. Oh, Dez, not Axis. Auto corrected. Gotcha. Keenan Allen and GPP. Look, anybody that's getting the amount of volume that Keenan Allen's getting at wide receiver, look at that. He's averaging 10 targets a game. Yes, he is definitely a good GPP play. He will see some, but not a lot on the outside of the death cornerback for the Giants. So I think Keenan Allen's fine. He's still going to get peppered with targets, especially when he's in the slot. Torrey Smith at 3,600 or Christ Butler at 35. I know we mentioned Torrey Smith on the podcast this week. I don't know that it's him and not Aguilar. You know, I really don't. I don't know that it's him and not Aguilar. You know, I don't know how to pick between those two. What we do know is that Alshon Jeffrey is going to be locked down, so you can't go to him. What we do know is that Zach Ertz is going to see some of the honey badger, right? But Zach Ertz has been solid every single week. For a tight end to get that amount of volume is ridiculous. You know, 8, 10, 10, 8. That 9 targets a game for a tight end is insane. But it's going to be one of these guys, and I honestly don't know how to pick between them right now. That should have the secondary game because, like we said, they're going to throw it 30 to 50 times because that's just what Philly does. Cobb get a huge upgrade without Adams. He gets an upgrade, but not a huge upgrade. I think that they're going to see more targets because if Montgomery's out and Adams is out, now we have to really dig deep to see which guys are going to play the amount of snaps that they need to play. Do I think it's more likely that Hoyer or Rodgers ends up in the Millie Maker lineup? I have no idea. Favorite QB for cash, not named Rodgers? Hoyer, probably. Timeout looks like he isn't going to play on Sunday. They said it's up to him, was the last I heard. And I haven't heard anything that he is or not. Henry or Gates GPP? For GPP, go Henry. You know? Because Gates, I assume, will have more ownership and Henry's more expensive. So take the lower owned guy. Favorite GPP QB? Yeah. Favorite GPP QB outside of Aaron Rodgers? For GPP? Like, who's got major touchdown upside? Right here, Palmer. Like, everybody seems to be wanting to talk themselves off of Carson Palmer because, well, he's going east and it's a 1 p.m. game and he's had some bad games there. But he's also facing off against, like, the worst cornerbacks in the league. Like, this does set up for a 300-yard multiple touchdown game, right? And if people are talking themselves out of using a quarterback against the worst cornerbacks in the league, then you're going to get him at a lower ownership too. Got time for a couple more questions and we got to get going. Shefty just said that Tymont has been downgraded to doubtful. Okay, well that makes things a little more clear. We'll talk about it on Sunday morning on the Anti-Tinkercast, which I will be on my laptop again, so I'm going to need you guys to be patient with me on Sunday mornings. Because I'm on my laptop, meaning I'm going to have to monitor chat like on my phone. I'm going to have like the Twitch app up, holding my phone for chat, and I won't have all of my stuff because I'm going out of town for a family wedding. Possible to jam Rodgers, Zeke, Bell, Gurley with no Aldrich. Probably not going to be possible to stuff that all in there. Definitely not for cash. For tournaments, yeah, you could probably do it. You just asked that again. Favorite Titan if Mariota plays? Delaney Walker and Rashard Matthews. And it's going to be a crazy lock time. Don't know if it's going to be a crazy lock time because NFL, you get the inactives an hour and a half before lock, so it makes things a lot easier. Thank you guys very much for joining me once again for the Friday Week 5 Q&A. We're going to call it here. And I'm going to get back to playing some weekend league before I got to catch a flight in a few hours, see if I can grind some FIFA before I go. But I'll see you Sunday morning for the Anti-Tinkercast when I get finished with my lineups, taking you guys all the way up to lock. Chat will be locked to subscribers only, just like it is today. Please subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, and make sure that you have notifications on so that anytime that I go live, you guys get notified and you don't have to rely on Twitter to find out. See you guys Sunday morning. Best of luck building your lineups.